Good kick right in front of the goal, and it's in.
Second, cuts to the corner, take the shot, he scores!
First, for the visitors from Montour. At guard, 5'6" junior, number 2, Jordan Wolf. At forward, 5'10" senior, number 10, Olivia Persinger. At guard, 5'9" senior, number 11, Reagan Cadlesson. At guard, 5'9" junior, number 20, Julia Cox. And at forward, 5'9" senior, number 35, Ava Lorenzi. Montour is led by head coach Jen O'Shea. And please welcome the starting lineup for Peters Township. That's about 5'5" freshman number 2, Bree Moya. Senior number 5, Sammy Buell. At guard, 5'3" junior number 10, Grace Hale. At forward, 6'3" sophomore number 14, Natalie Wetzel. And at guard, 5'10" junior number 21, Jamal Walker. Peters Township is led by head coach Steve Lindberry, assisted by Don McCullough, Brendan Podgorski, Natalie Piedessi, and Jesse Merkel.
Good evening and welcome to Peters Township Basketball, brought to you by Channel 7. Today's game is the Peters Township Varsity Indians against Montour High School. On the floor for Peters Township, Bree Morial, Sammy Bewick, Grace Kale, Natalie Wetzel, and Gemma Walker. They will be facing off against Jordan Wolf, Olivia Persinger, Reagan Kadlesic, Julia Cox, and Ava Lorenzi. And we are now set for the opening tip. 8 minutes on the clock, first quarter. And the tip is controlled by Peters, Sammy Bewick. Comes around to Bree Morial, into Gemma Walker. Gemma in the lane, puts up a 2, it's missed. Rebound deflected out and recovered by Sammy Bewick. Across to Bree Morial for a 3, and that 3 is good. That was tied up by Natalie Wetzel. The ball will stay in this end for Montour. Inbounding from Montour, number 10, Olivia Persinger. And stolen by Grace Kale. Brings it down for the layup, but the layup misses. Rebounded by Montour. Foul on the play by Gemma Walker. It's deflected out of bounds by Bree Morial. The play stays in this end. Montour ball. That's Kadlesic with a 2. Score is 3-2 Peters, with Montour applying the full court pressure. Peters does manage to break it, coming down the lane. Dish off to Wetzel. Wetzel misses, rebound by Walker. Walker up, blocked. She gets her own rebound, about to Bewick, to Kale. Kale into the lane for a jumper, and it is good off the glass. That 3 misses by Montour, rebound by Montour, and it's kicked out to Persinger. Persinger surveys the situation, dishes it off to Cox. Cox around to the right side for Kedlesic. Kedlesic into the lane, and she gets called for the travel. Peters ball. 6:19 to go, first quarter, 5-2 Peters Township. And that's a kick on Montour. The ball stays with Peters Township. This is Kale at the top. Puts it into the lane to Wetzel. Wetzel kicks it out to Bree on the right for a three, and that rattles out. Rebounded by Montour. That was Kedlesic with a fake handoff. She takes it in the lane for a two. Wetzel into the lane for Bewick. Layup and is no good. Almost gets her own rebound, but it is taken away by Montour. Coming down the left side is Cox. This is Wolf with the ball. Going one-on-one against Morial. Dishes off for a three. That three is good by Kedlesic. Kedlesic has all the points for Montour at this point. 5-11 in the first quarter, excuse me. And the score is 7-5 in favor of Montour. This is Walker in the corner for a three. That three is good. (8-7) Peters Township. Wolf was cut off in the lane. She brings it back around to the top. She's guarded by Bree Morial. That's Kedlesic again for a three. That is no good. Rattles out. Bewick defended. And the rebound went out of bounds. It'll be Peters' ball. Into the game was Macy Rathway and Abigail Cleary for Montour. There's Morial for a three from the corner, and that three is good. That's her second three of the quarter. Peters 11, Montour 7. That's Cleary gets tied up. Cleary gets tied up, and that is a Peters ball. Possession arrow in favor of Peters. Inbound to Walker. Walker to Morial in the middle. To the right for Bewick. Back to Morial. She manages to get it back ahead to Bewick. Pass attempt to the middle. Got deflected, but it goes over to Walker for a three. That three is no good. And that is a tie up on the rebound, and that will favor Montour. .347 to go, first quarter, 11-7 Peters. And a shot in the lane, attempt fails, out of bounds, Peters ball. Off that pressure, they get it down to Walker down in the corner. She kicks it back out, and that's a travel on Wetzel as she was trying to make a move down the baseline. And that was Wolf down the lane for a 2. That's a travel on Peters. Turnover to Montour. Score is 11-9 Peters. 3:06 to go, first quarter. That attempt at a 3 was by Wolf for Montour, rebounded by Peters, kicked up ahead to Morial, back to Kale. Kale drives the lane, dishes behind her to Wetzel. Wetzel makes a couple of moves. Down the lane, layup misses, rebounded by Montour. Pass ahead was deflected by Peters. Touched out of bounds by Montour, but they're calling it Montour ball. Must have gone out of bounds before the touch. Coming into the game for Peters, Molly Kubistek. She is replacing Sammy Bewick. And the inbound is stolen by Grace Kale. She dishes ahead to Walker. Walker up and in for the layup. Montour is pushing. Slight overthrow, and that gets deflected out of bounds. Peters' ball. It's Kale to Kubistek to Morial to Wetzel. Wetzel come down the lane. Up for a layup. That layup is good. It's her first points of the game. And Peters is up 15-9. 2:09 left in the first quarter. Dished underneath, deflected out of bounds by Wetzel. It will stay Montour ball. That's That is no shot foul before the shot. Foul on number 2, Bree Morial. Three-point attempt. Rims out by Wolf. Rebounded by Wetzel. For Peters, Wetzel up to Morial. Morial pushes it ahead to Walker. Walker into the lane for Kubistek, and the lay-in is good. (17-9) Peters. 1:31 to go in the first quarter. That was a travel by Montour's Addison Granick. Peters pushes it ahead to Wetzel down the lane. Layup bounces out. Looks like it's going to be a foul against Montour's 22. McLeister. Walker will be shooting 2. First one is good. And Walker is good for both. Peters up 19-9. 1:20 to go in the first quarter. That basket was by number 11, Reagan Kadlesic. 19-11, Peters. Down to the corner for Walker. Walker comes in with a nice lay-in. Long three bounces out, rebounded by Kubistek. Kubistek's dribbling all the way down. She'll go up for that layup, and it's in. Montour pushes ahead, 27 seconds left in the first quarter. That shot attempt is good by Macy Rathway. 23-13, Peters, 15 to go in the first quarter. Morial pushes ahead to Walker. Walker steps back to attempt a three, but then brings it in closer and pulls off a two. 25-13, Peters. 1 second to go. And that shot by Reagan Kadlesic misses. And at the end of the first quarter, 25 Peters, 13 Montour. Back for the start of the second quarter. It's Peters Township 25, Montour 13. Peters will inbound the ball. On the floor for Peters, Morial, Kubistek, Walker, Wetzel, and Sendrowski. Morial slips and comes down, but regains her footing, and there's a foul on Montour. Foul's on number 1, Macy Rathway. Peters to inbound, comes into Morial. Deflected out of bounds by number 10, Olivia Persinger. The ball will stay with Peters. This is Walker. Walker in the lane to Wetzel. Wetzel for the layup. It is good, and she's fouled. Foul will be on number 20, Julia Cox, her first. Wetzel will be on the line for one. And she drains it. 28-13, Peters, second quarter. The spin move underneath is no good for Kadlesic. Rebounded by Kubistek. Morial brings it up, back to Kubistek, around to Sendrowski. Sendrowski for a long jumper, rims out, and it is rebounded by Kadlesic for Montour. She dribbles it down herself. She shoots a long three, rims out, rebounded by Wetzel. She pushes it ahead to Walker a little too far, and that'll go out of bounds back to Montour. Coming back in the game is number 10, Grace Kale, replacing Brie Morial. This is Kadlesic. So around to Rathway. Rathway at the top of the arc. Looking for something to do. Dribbles left. She travels. That'll be a turnover for Montour. Peters ball. 28-13, second quarter. Peters is leading. 6:35 to go. This is Wetzel. They call for a block on Montour. That's Kadlesic. Jordan Wolf checks back in for Montour, replacing Macy Rathway. Wetzel with the drive, fouled. The basket was no good. That foul is on Julia Cox for Montour. Wetzel will shoot two. First one is up and good. Drive in the lane for number 10, Olivia Persinger. Shot was no good, but Peters called for the foul. And that foul is on Kubistek. Persinger to shoot 2. Persinger's first one is up and good. And the second shot is also good. 30-15, Peters. 6:20 to go, second quarter. This is Wetzel. She hands off to Kale. Kale in the middle to Kubistek. Out to Sandrowski. Sandrowski for 3. That 3 rims off. She gets her own rebound over to Walker. Walker up and no good from 3. Saved by Kubistek. Back to Wetzel. And that shot does not go for Wetzel, and it's rebounded by Montour. Pushed ahead to Kedlesik. In the lane and fouled on her shot was Julia Cox. That foul was on Sandrowski. It's her first. And Julia Cox will be shooting 2. That first shot, no good. Coming back in for Peters, Morial and Bewick, replacing Sandrowski and Kubistek. And coming in for Montour, Tiffany Miller. She's replacing Kedlesik. This is the second shot for Julia Cox. And that shot is up and good. Peters has been handling the pressure fairly well. That was Walker. Bounce pass over to Morial and then into the center for Wetzel. Had a little trouble handling it, but it does get kicked out to Walker, who spins in the lane. Lefty is up and good. Nice move by Gemma Walker. That looked like a travel on Montour. Sure enough, Peters ball. That was Bewick inbound to Walker, back to Bewick, back to Walker. Across the court to Wetzel, into the lane for Kale, and a nice easy lay-in for Grace Kale. And Montour is taking a timeout. Peters been handling that pressure pretty well the whole time, causing Montour to want to take a timeout, regroup. It's a 30-second timeout. There's 5:19 to go in the second quarter. Peters Township 34, Montour 16. Tiffany Miller to inbound under their own basket. Comes into Jordan Wolf. Wolf down the center. Kicks it over back to Miller. Miller in the lane, and she gets called for a travel. This is Kale. Kale ahead to Walker. A little bit, that pass was in her feet. She had trouble handling it, and that bounced out of bounds. Montour ball. Again, Wolf bringing it up the middle, guarded by Morial. That's Lorenzi. Lorenzi to Cox. Cox kicks it out to Miller. Miller comes in for the layup and called for the blocking foul. It's going to be, I believe, Grace Kale. That is. Tiffany Miller will be shooting 2. And she hits the first. Perry Sandrowski is coming back in for Grace Kale. And coming in for Montour, Abigail Clary. And she replaces Julia Cox. This is Miller's second. Second shot is up and good. 34-18, Peters leading. 4:47 to go in the second quarter. Walker over to Bewick. Bewick to Morial. Morial dribbles around some defenders. Bounce pass to Walker. Walker into the lane to Wetzel. Wetzel for a nice easy layup underneath. Nice passing there by Peters Township. 36-18 Peters. It's Miller for a 3 at the top, and that is good. This is Bewick to Sandrowski to Bewick, back to Morial. She dribbles and surveys, bounce pass. Went over to Walker, but not before Peters Township calls a timeout.
This is a 30-second timeout.
It's a 30-second timeout by Peters. 4:10 to go in the second quarter. 36-21 Peters. After the timeout, Sammy Bewick to inbound for Peters. Inbound comes to Kale. Little trouble handling it, but she gets it back to Bewick. They get across half court over to Morial. And to Walker. Walker drives. Jump shot is no good. Rebounded by Bewick in the lane. Dishes out to Kale across to Morial for 3. That 3 is no good. She almost tracked down her own rebound, but it was handled by Montour. That's Miller. Stolen away by Brie Morial, and they do call it Peters' ball. Did appear to go out off of Peters, but the refs see it otherwise. That was Bewick into Morial across to Kale. Kale surveys. Up ahead to Wetzel, a little too far. Montour tried to save it under the basket. Goes to Peters. Down to Gemma Walker for an easy lay-in. It's 13. That's 15 points for Wetzel already. Bad pass by Montour. Goes out of bounds. Peters' ball. 3:14 to go. Second quarter. 38-21 Peters. Milana Khalil checks in for Peters. She replaces Sammy Bewick. Bad pass by Kale gets turned over to Montour. Montour in the lane to 14, Abigail Cleary. Her shot air balls and rebounded by Morial. Morial pushes ahead to Walker. Walker drives. The ball was deflected. She recovers it. Over to Kale to Wetzel. Wetzel for 3. Rattles out and rebounded by Montour. That's Abigail Cleary for 3. That is no good. Rebounded by Brie Morial. Morial sends it down. Dribbles it down, I should say. Sends it over to Wetzel in the corner. That shot by Khalil. No good. And rebounded by Montour. Montour pushes ahead. Lorenzi dish to the middle to Kadlesic. That was no good. Walker takes it the whole way down. Lefty layup is good. Score is 40-21 Peters. 1:58 to go second quarter. That layup attempt was no good by Montour's Jordan Wolf. Comes down. Here's Walker again. Walker lays it in and is fouled on the shot. That foul by Montour was on Cleary. The basket was good. 42-21 Peters. So Walker will be shooting 1. Molly Kubistek now checks in for Wetzel. And Walker swishes that foul shot. 43-21 Peters. 1:48 to go in the second quarter. This is Kadlesic driving down the lane. Layup is no good. Rebounded by Walker. Walker takes it down the center herself. She's going to go all the way. And she's fouled. That foul was on Olivia Persinger for Montour. Walker will shoot 2. First one bounces out, no good. Coming in for Peters Township is Emma Kale replacing her sister Grace Kale.
At the Peters Township bench, end of the quarter.
Walker's second attempt is up and good. (44-21) Peters, 1:27 to go, second quarter. Driving in the lane and getting the roll is Kedlesic. She deflected the ball away, and the refs whistle it dead. Not sure if they made a call over there. They did speak with the off-court official. Anyway, Peters Township inbounds it. This is Morial. She gets it over to Kale. Kale at the top of the arc over to Walker. Walker to Kubistek. Kubistek down to Khalil. Khalil back to Kubistek. Bounce pass into Khalil. Goes up for the shot. She is fouled. The shot was no good. That foul's on Jordan Wolf. And Khalil will be shooting two. Khalil's first shot bounces out, no good. Khalil's second shot also rims out, no good. Rebounded by Montour, 55 seconds to go in the half. 44-23, Peters. That was Rathway. Pass mishandled a little bit. This is Wolf. Wolf trying to go one-on-one against Khalil. She does get around her. She goes in for the layup. Layup misses, but Kubistek will be called for the blocking foul. That's her second. And Jordan Wolf will shoot two. 36 seconds left in the quarter. 44-23 Peters. First shot bounces out. Coming back into the game for Peters Township, Natalie Wetzel, and she replaces Milana Khalil. And Wolf swishes her second. 44-24, Peters. Morial looped it up ahead to Wetzel. Wetzel drives, misses the first, gets her own rebound, puts up the second attempt, rims out, saved by Walker, but unfortunately over to Montour. It's 18 seconds to go. That driving attempt was Sophia Brandy. That shot misses, rebounded by Rathway. And Rathway was fouled on the putback attempt. That foul was on Emma Kale. That's her first. Macy Rathway will shoot two. Oh, sorry, that was a 1-and-1. Rebounded by Wetzel over to Morial. Deflected out of bounds by Kedlesic. It'll stay Peters' ball. 5 seconds to go in the second quarter. 44-24 Peters. And Peters is taking a quick timeout. 5.3 seconds to go, second quarter, 44-24. Peters is up, and Wetzel to inbound. Inbounds comes to Morial, hands off to Wetzel. Wetzel drives the lane, goes up for a layup. That layup is blocked, out of bounds, but off of Montour, stays with Peters. 0.6 seconds to go, 44-24, Peters Township. This will have to be a quick touch if they want to get any kind of shot attempt off. And Wetzel does get it off, but it does not go. And at the end of the first half, 44-24, Peters Township up points and only one foul. She had a heck of a first half. We'll see what happens in the second half. Well, behind her on Peters is Natalie Wetzel, 9 points. For Montour, Kadlesic is their leading scorer with 9 points as well. Not too much foul trouble really to speak of for either team. Peters Township, Molly Kupastek with 2, and Julia Cox on Montour with 2. So really not much to worry about as far as foul trouble for either team going into the second half. And Peters comes out with their original starting 5. Morial, Bewick, Kale, Wetzel, and Walker. It'll be Montour ball to start the second half. Persinger inbounds to Wolf. Wolf guarded by Morial. Dribbles down the lane, dishes it off to Miller. Handoff in the lane, that was Persinger. Still with the ball, being guarded by Bewick. Over to Wolf. Wolf guarded by Morial. Dishes out to Persinger. Persinger to Lorenzi. Deflected away by Morial, but retained by Montour's Kadlesic. Down the lane and a charging foul called against Montour's Olivia Persinger. That'll be Peters' ball. That's her second. Team's first of the half. Bewick to inbound under their own basket. Comes into Wetzel. Back to Bewick. She dribbles, tries to get it ahead to Morial. It was deflected away by Montour. It'll be Peters' ball. Inbound at midcourt. Bewick to Kale. Kale dribbles around some defenders, gets it over to Bewick, down to Wetzel. Wetzel for a jump shot. No good. Rebounded by Walker. Walker gets fouled on the attempted putback. And that foul was on Kadlesic. Walker shooting 2. First one no good. Walker's second attempt swishes. That's her 5th free throw score of the game. Quickly ahead for Montour was Kadlesic. She tried to reverse, did not go. Pushed ahead by Peters to Morial. Morial with a lay-in, and it is good. 47-24 Peters. It's Miller with the ball. Almost travels there. Ball deflected away by Kale. A little too aggressive on that one by Kale, and she'll be called for the foul. That's her second. Montour inbounds to Wolf. Wolf down the left side to the corner. She thought about a 3-point attempt. That was stolen by Sammy Bewick. Sammy dribbles down the right side, and she goes for the layup. Called for the block. The basket is good on that high rim. And that foul was called on Reagan Kadlesic. That's her 3rd. Bewick to shoot 1. And it is good. 50-24 Peters. 6:30 to go in the 3rd quarter. This is Kadlesic driving the lane. She does draw the foul. Shot misses. I think they got Bewick on that one. Yes, that'll be Sammy Bewick's first foul. Kadlesic will shoot 2. First one by Kadlesic, rims out, no good. Coming in for Montour, Sterling McLeister. She replaces Ava Lorenzi. And Kadlesic now to attempt her second. That also rims out, rebounded by Wetzel. She gets it off to Kale. And Kale brings it up over midcourt, over to Bewick. Bewick dribbles right over to Kale. Kale comes on the right side, back towards center. looking for a play, trying to get it inside, but she can't. Then it goes over to Walker. Walker spins in the lane, loses the handle, manages to regain it over to Bewick, and then to Wetzel for a three. That three rims out, rebounded by Bewick, but deflected away by Montour. And then Bewick manages to tie her up. That ball will stay with Peters. Kale to inbound under the basket. Goes into Wetzel. Wetzel keeps it. Dribbles in the lane over to Morial for a three. That three is good. That's her third three-pointer today. And now she defends Wolf as she comes down. And a high off the glass. That was 22. Sterling McLeister, her first field goal of the day. Morial dribbles over half court, gets it ahead to Kale. A little too far. The save attempt goes over to Persinger for Montour.
Yes, Grace.
A couple of passes there deflected by Peters, but Montour maintains possession. And that layup by Miller was missed, deflected away by Kale, but over to Montour. Miller for another attempt. Getting a little sloppy here in the third quarter. This is Kadlesic. Kadlesic no good, no foul called. And Peters comes away with it. Dished ahead from Morial to Walker. Walker just misses that one, but rebounded by Wetzel, and she puts it back. 55-26, Peters, 4:29 to go, third quarter. Looked like a walk, but it was not called. Lay-in by Sterling McLeister. 55-28, Peters. This is Wetzel down the center. Blocked away. Blocked away by Montour. Peters' ball. Coming into the game for Peters, Molly Kubistek and number 34, Perry Sandrowski, replacing Sammy Bewick and Gemma Walker. Inbounds comes to Wetzel. Wetzel up at the top, dribbles down the lane, dishes it out to Kubistek for an attempted three, no good. Rebound under the basket by Peters. They go to the ground. Lots of whistles, but it was just a tie-up, and that will stay Montour. Olivia Persinger called for a foul there. Peters' ball. Inbounds comes to Kale. Kale had to Sandrowski in the lane, attempted for Wetzel, but deflected out of bounds by Montour's Olivia Persinger. Peters' ball. Kale to inbound. It goes to Wetzel at the top of the key. Wow, I heard that up here, but no foul called. And it's Montour's ball. In the lane is Julia Cox. She attempts to lay in but misses. Pushed ahead to Brie Morial. Lefty layup is good for Morial. Under pressure. 57-28 Peters. 3:23 to go, third quarter. Wolf overshoots that one. Rebounded by Sandrowski. Over to Kale. Kale slows it down a little bit. Sandrowski sent it over to Wetzel. Wetzel against several defenders. Tries to get that layup. Gets her own rebound. Jump ball called. And it will stay on Peters Township side. Coming into the game for Peters, Gemma Walker, as well as Milana Khalil. And they're replacing Grace Kale and Molly Kubistek. 57-28 Peters, 2:59 to go, third quarter. That inbound comes to Walker. Walker dribbles down the lane, dishes it over. Khalil was attempting the pass over to Sandrowski. That was deflected out of bounds by Montour. It'll stay with Peters. Morial to inbound. Inbound to Walker. Walker dribbles down the right side. She's fouled. That foul will be on Macy Rathway, her second. Another inbound under the basket. Morial into Wetzel. Wetzel to the left side for Sandrowski. That shot misses. Rebounded by Montour. Pushed ahead to Cleary. Cleary in trouble. Manages to keep the ball so far, and she draws a foul. And that foul will be on Perry Sandrowski, her second. Good job stepping into that passing lane by Walker. And one. Walker gets the layup after a nice dish from Wetzel. That foul was on Rathway, her third. Gemma Walker will shoot one. Peters is up 59-28, 2:13 to go in the third quarter. And that's good. And that's going to be a foul on Milana Khalil. Coming back in the game for Peters, Emma Kale replacing Brie Morial. And number 4, Molly Kubistek replacing Natalie Wetzel. 60-28 Peters. And we got a blocking foul called. Looks like it's going to be on Walker. That is. That's Walker's second. Three-point attempt fails by Macy Rathway. Ball bounces out of bounds. Peters ball. Peters 60, Montour 28. With Peters up by more than 30. We are in a running clock situation here. And that ball gets deflected out by Montour. Still Peters. Kubistek to inbound. Gets it into Walker. Walker decides to take it up herself. And the jumper in the lane is no good. Rebounded by Montour. It's Persinger ahead, but deflected away by Gemma Walker. It'll be Montour ball. 28 seconds to go on the running clock. And Montour does get it in. It goes to number 12, Sophia Brandy. 7 seconds to go. And that's a travel. She fell down. No foul called, so that's a travel. And that's the end of the third quarter. Peters Township 60, Montour 28. Team fouls at the end of the third quarter. Peters Township has 5. Montour has 6. And here we go, start of the fourth quarter. Peters Township 60, Montour 28. Montour to inbound. Comes into Jordan Wolf. And Wolf for the 3 is no good. Rebounded by Walker. Walker takes it down herself. Up ahead to Morial. Morial for three. And that bounces out. No good. And we get called, Sammy Bewick will be called for over the back on that one. That's her second. And the team's fifth. 7:19 to go. Fourth quarter. Peters up 60-28. That lay-in was good by Jordan Wolf. Bewick with the ball. Over to Kale. Kale dribbles down the left side. Up ahead to Morial. Morial down low to Walker. Walker dribbles down the baseline. Dishes to Wetzel for a nice, easy lay-in. 62-30 Peters. This is Kadlesic. Big block by Wetzel, but the ball was recovered by Montour. That was Miller with a three off the glass. 62-33. Peters is up there, 6:21 to go, fourth quarter. This is Morial up ahead to Walker. Walker's slowing it down a little bit. She gives it over to Kale. Kale up at the top. Back over to Walker. I believe that was a 3-second violation on Peters. Montour ball. Deflected by Bewick, but Montour maintains possession. Wolf still with the ball, now at the top of the key, guarded by Bewick. Over to Persinger. Persinger back to Wolf. Wolf for a three. Rims out. Rebounded by Walker over to Kale. Kale brings it up to Morial. Morial back to Kale. Kale to Walker. And they're going to slow it down. Kale over to Wetzel. Wetzel to Morial at the top, over to Walker. Into the lane for Wetzel. Layup attempt, she is fouled. That foul will be on Olivia Persinger. That's Persinger's fourth. Natalie Wetzel will be shooting two. And the first one by Walker is good. I'm sorry, Wetzel. Peters making several subs into the game. We have Perry Sandrowski, Milana Khalil, and I believe Emma Kale as well. And waiting at the scorer's table is Molly Kubistek, waiting to replace Wetzel. Wetzel's second attempt is up and good. That's 15 points for Wetzel as she comes out of the game and is replaced by Kubistek. 64-33, Peters is up. 4:49 to go in the fourth quarter. That is Kadlesic with a three. That bounces out. Emma Kale with the ball. Kale over to Kubistek, and Kubistek is fouled. That foul is on 22, Sterling McLeister. And Kubistek will shoot 1-1 as Montour now has 8 team fouls. That shot no good, rebounded by Montour. And that was Sterling McLeister traveled. It'll be a turnover to Peters. Coming in now for Peters Township, Emma Malloy replacing Grace Kale. That's Emma Kale over to Sandrowski. Sandrowski for three, rims out, rebound to Montour. Oh, and they bounced it out of bounds. It'll stay with Peters. 64-33 Peters, 3:53 to go in the fourth quarter. That comes into Emma Kale. Over to Khalil. Khalil to Emma Kale. That was Kale over to Malloy. Malloy to Sandrowski, but that is blocked out of bounds on the shot. That will stay with Peters. Kubistek to inbound. Kubistek to Kale. Kale with the shot. Shot rims out. Rebounded by Montour, bounced off of Peters' foot out of bounds, and that'll go to Montour. 64-33 Peters, 3:15 to go, fourth quarter. Driving the lane was Sterling McLeister. Shot is no good, but she's fouled. And that foul was on Sandrowski. McLeister will shoot 2. First shot is good. And coming into the game now, replacing Molly Kubistek, is Daniela Radulovic, number 44. And this is Sterling McLeister with her second. That second shot also good. 64-35. Peters is up. 2:54 to go in the fourth quarter, and that was Emma Kale, fouled by Jordan Wolf. Emma Kale will shoot 1-1. First shot is no good, rebounded by Montour's Olivia Persinger. She pushes it ahead to Sterling McLeister. Persinger missed with that one. Goes out of bounds to Peters. Khalil. Inbounds to Malloy, back to Khalil. To Kale. Kale dribbles around to the right. Now comes back around the center. Just getting real low with the ball there. Tried to use a pick from Radulovic. Now she dishes it off to Sandrowski, back to Kale. Kale again with the ball down to Sandrowski. Sandrowski for 3, bounces out. Rebounded by Montour. Montour pushes ahead to Miller. Miller in the lane for a layup. Too long. Rebounded by Montour, but then stolen away by Peters. That was Malloy to Radulovic, and now to Kale. Kale over to Sandrowski, back to Kale. Dish to the center was deflected away, but recovered. That was recovered by Khalil, but then they lost it in the middle, and Montour picks it up. This is Miller. Miller down the lane. She was cut off by Malloy. And Malloy picks up a deflected ball there. Tries to push it up ahead, but it was deflected out by Montour. It'll be Peters' ball. Coming in now for Peters Township is number 13, Alina Sopko. She replaces Emma Kale. Megan Castor also checks in. 64-35, Peters Township, 43 seconds to go on this running clock. That was Alina Sopko with the ball. Dished into Radulovic, layup, bounces out. .22 seconds to go, 64-35 Peters. That's Miller in the lane, and she is fouled. That foul was on Sopko. Her first. Miller will shoot 2. First one for Miller is good. 9.8 seconds to go, 64-36 Peters. And the second shot is also good for Miller. 64-37. Stolen away. Stolen away by Miller for Montour, but then she is fouled, and that's the game. We'll see if they're going to have them shoot. They are not. That's the game. Peters Township 64, Montour 37.